In the previous episode, we explored the Twee-Rivieren area. The game viewing was tough, but we eventually found 2 beautiful cheetahs. In this episode, our luck changes, and we do something we've never done before. The day started in a cloud of dust. We got stuck behind a grader, which created massive dust clouds. So we stopped to watch some jackals as the dust clouds cleared. The route we picked for today was the Lower June Loop again. We stopped at Kgalagadi for a break, and I had so much fun photographing the scaly feathered finches at the picnic site. In the afternoon, we took a slow bumble up the Northsop riverbed side and enjoyed some ostriches dust bathing in the setting sun. I'm by no means a Kgalagadi expert, and this is actually only my second trip here. I still can't pronounce half of the names of these boreholes, and only today I found out that they're actually Gaelic names. But there's been a big difference between this trip and the one we did in October last year in terms of the sightings. It's been a lot quieter this time of the year, and I don't know why that is. Last October you'd blink and you'd have a new sighting. On one trip we did towards Mata, we saw 5 leopards on that road. Whereas on this trip we haven't seen a leopard yet. And it's not just the big predators, it's the raptors as well. We've only seen 1 tawny eagle this trip, whereas our last trip I saw at one point about 5 tawny eagles at a single watering hole. I thought that maybe it could be the area we're in, but last time we had really good sightings in this area, and I've spoken to some of the other campers and visitors to the park, and they having the exact same thing. They're really struggling to get good sightings. So I don't know what it is. That's not to say that we're having a bad time or I'm not enjoying myself. We're still having great sightings and there's a lot of stuff to see. It's just different and we're having to work harder for our sightings this time around. We left early morning hoping to make it as far north as we could. The sightings board read that most of the wildlife was being seen towards the Northsop area. Turns out that this drive would be the quietest of all. We drove to Melkvlei as quick as possible and then completely slowed down from there up to Dikbartskolk for a lunch stop. It turns out there would be a fortuitous meeting there which completely turned this trip on its head. may have noticed a theme to our drive so far in the park, and that's that we tend to drive north. Now obviously from Twee-Rivieren you only can really go north on the two different roads, but we tend to stick to the north side of the park, and that's because I find that the wildlife sightings that side of the park are better. That's just been my experience so far. The other thing is we tend to go as far north in the park as possible, and that's because, again, I find that the further north you go in the park, the better the wildlife becomes. This is just something that I feel personally, and it might not be true, but every trip that we've done so far, the 2 trips that we've done so far, I found that to be the case. So for this trip, we have 10 nights camping at Twee-Rivieren, and that limits us in where we can drive. Again, we've just got these 2 routes, and can go either to the Mata side or the Northop side. So throughout our trip so far, I've been trying to see if there's any cancellations in Northop. The park is currently full and there's no availability at any of the other camps. So I've been looking every day to see if there's any cancellations at Northop so we can stay a little bit norther in the park. And so far, nothing has come available. Yesterday, we met a fellow camper from the Netherlands at the sighting board, and we had a little chat and went our separate ways. And then on this morning's drive, we went all the way north to Dikbartskolk, and we met this camper up there again over lunch. And we got chatting, and he mentioned that he's got a site at campsite 1 at Pelensua that was given to him, and he's only got 1 vehicle. He's here as a solo traveler, and he said that we're more than welcome to take the site, share the site with him. So we're super excited today that we get to go to Pelensua. We leave in tomorrow morning, and we've got 2 nights camping there, and it'll give us more exposure to the north of the park. It's the furthest north we've ever been. We've never been past Pelensua, and I know that there's some really good wildlife up there. So we're really excited for tomorrow to get all the way up to Pelensua. For the rest of today's drive, we're on the Mata Road, heading now back to Twee-Rivieren. The game again has just been extremely slow. Not many animals, not even much bird life, but we'll see what we can find. This was the first time that we would be wild camping, without fences and on the Botswana side of the park, something that has been on my bucket list for years. We were both a bit nervous and extremely excited at the same time. When we got to Twee-Rivieren, we went to the Botswana reception and got ourselves checked in onto our new friends booking for the next 2 nights. We packed up the night before and headed off early for Pelensua. The excitement to wild camp could be felt on the drive up, and our luck had also turned a corner. Suddenly, everything started to appear, and we had the most incredible sightings on the drive. noticed a lappet-faced vulture flying into an area with 2 jackals and immediately stopped. I could see the jackals were feeding on a carcass. A few cars joined us and someone noticed cheetahs moving to the left. We followed them and suddenly they took off after some springbok. I couldn't get any footage of the chase and didn't realize until after I saw the footage that they had actually caught one. That was the most incredible drive. First we had those lions, then we had the goshawk, then we had another lion, and then we had the cheetahs. It was just so incredible, and those cheetahs were actually chasing springboks. I wasn't able to get any footage of it, but it was the most incredible thing to watch. We just stopped for a quick bite to eat here at Dikbaardskolk, and now we're back on our way to Polenswa. The rest of the drive up was quiet but peaceful. We passed through Nosop and completed the final stretch up. arrived and immediately set up camp, just in time for a late afternoon drive to the Polenswa waterhole. We found a male lion there whose brother was calling from a distance. The scenery was breathtaking, and a storm was starting to roll in from the northeast. We had one last visitor that night, a puffadder, a friendly reminder to us that we were in a wild and dangerous place and need to keep our guard up. Turns out, he anticipated the storm coming in and just wanted a drink of water. In the final episode, we get lucky again and get another night at a different wild camping site, and lions come to visit.